Hey everyone, welcome back to another Rebor review. Today we're going to take a look at their JP3 inspired Raptors, Gunn and Rose. Now unfortunately this Raptor pair has long been retired from Rebor. They came out way back when, obviously in 2017, and when they were released, Rebor specifically stated that they're going to only do one production run of this set. The reason for that is the color schemes were very complex and quite cost prohibitive from the continue producing these figures. So, 5 years later, these figures are quite rare and highly sought after from collectors. There's a lot of dinosaur collectors out there, but there's also a lot of collectors of the Jurassic franchise. So these figures are quite hard to come by. And when they very, very rarely pop up on eBay and other sites, they go for quite a bit of money. And as always, as I keep constantly reviewing these figures that are no longer in production, I wish anyone luck still trying to track these down. So let's go over the package really quick before we throw these figures up on the turntable. The JP3 male and female Velociraptors are named Gunn and Rose. If you're remotely familiar with Rebor, how they name their figures, they like to name them after musical references. So let's take a look at the male packaging. We have a nice artwork of the male on the front of the box. Obviously, the figure came out in 2017. They are 1/18 scale, and my box is a little bit dusty and beat up because it's been sitting in the basement for like the last 5 years. And then on the back of the box, we get a picture of all the other Jurassic-inspired Velociraptors that Rebor released over the last couple of years. We have the statue, like bronze version of Winston. We have the JP1 color version of Winston. We have JP1 color of Spring Heel Jack. Actually, the Jumping Raptors are the only molds I never picked up of this. I just never got around to it. This one right here, Alex Stay Large, is based off of Blue. Down here we have Pete, which is most likely based off of Delta. Then we have the JP3 male Raptor and Rose. So kind of weird that Rebor never finished the Raptor squad. They missed Charlie and Echo. Good thing they didn't do Echo, because every so often they like to retcon the colors on Echo. But they were doing JP inspired stuff back when Papo was doing it, and before Nanmu and W Dragon. These figures do all turned out quite well. And now let's take a look at the box for Rose. This is the female JP3 Raptor. Got a nice picture of her on the front of the box. Same thing on the back with the same pictures of all the other, as I smash into my camera, of all the other Raptors released by Rebor. So that will do it for the packaging. Let's throw these Raptors up on the turntable and take a closer look. All right, let's start with this 360-degree view of this Raptor pair. I've always liked the JP3 Raptors. Say what you want on your feelings about the movie, but I always felt the Raptors from JP3 were the most unique and standout of the entire franchise, and Rebor did a really good job of capturing the color scheme on the male and female Raptors. Absolutely love the female. It's my favorite out of the pair. Just love the white coloration and that bright red orbit and bright yellow eye. And you have all those nice black markings that contrast that white coloration. The male also turned out great. The biggest drawback of the male, I just wish Rebor went back and maybe resculpted the head to give it the quills, because that really made it stand out. I always appreciated the sexual dimorphism of the JP3 Raptors, with the males have different eye color and the quill, and the female having the white coloration and the bright yellow eye. They are very well painted, and I can see why Rebor only did one production run of them. It's probably one of their best painted set of figures, and I just Rebor does absolutely excellent teeth on their figures. They're using that translucent plastic before Nanmu came onto the scene. And the other cool part about these two figures, they're sculpted in resting poses, and you don't see a lot of dinosaur figures sculpted in resting poses. That makes these figures stand out even more among all the Raptor figures that are currently on the market. All right, let's do a couple quick measurements on these two figures. They're both the same mold, so both figures are exactly the same length. So these Raptors are about 9 inches long if you measure them along the curve of the neck and tail, and about 3 inches tall to the top of the head. So the JP3 Raptors are estimated around 13 feet long. So I'll put these figures nicely in that 1/18 scale range. So let's first take a look at the male Raptor. I love the resting sitting pose. It's always so unique to see a dinosaur sculpted this way. It looks like it's hunched over a nest or maybe taking a poopy. And let's pull this figure in and take a look at that beautiful head sculpt. You know, the Sorner, tribe of this raptor species, they had more exaggerated crest just before their snout. You can see the fenestra sculpting right here. And my favorite part about the JP3 Raptor is just those blood red eyes with the black pupil on them. It just really, really makes these raptors stand out from all the rest in the franchise. You have some nice dark blue around the orbit, and the eye has a nice gloss coat on it to give it that lifelike look. And then the jaw is articulated. Now, the articulation on these figures on the jaw is okay. On my male raptor, it's much better. On my female one, when we get to it in a couple minutes, it's really not that great, but you can see they use this nice translucent plastic to give the teeth this nice enamel look. The tongue is nicely painted with a heavy gloss coat. Same thing with the gums. You got a nice beautiful scale detail all over the head. Even that little crest is decked out in bright red paint. They really did a great job of painting these figures. And then inside the mouth, you can see the tongue has some nice detail, some nice washes over it. And then looking at the roof of the mouth, let's see, get the camera to zoom in on that. You get some nice details on the roof. Rebor has always been great at adding nice details to the figures. They always have a very lifelike look, especially in the face. And then you have this dark brown coloration highlighted by this white stripe that is trimmed in black. The figure does suffer a little bit from Rebor's over texturing, but on these two figures it's not as bad as some other figures like their older Acrocanthosaurus. You can see the throat is painted in white coloration. You have a little bit of a cream coat to highlight it before it transitions into that brown. Going down to the arms, you see the arms are in a nice resting position tucked underneath the belly of the animal, and they are also articulated. You can swing them out into different positions if you like. They're in the classic Jurassic Park style pronated wrist, and you do have some bright red pink on the palms of the hands. The hand claws are decked out in glossy brown paint. On the other side, you get some nice washes, bring out all that belly scale. The whole belly is done in a cream coat. And then going down to the legs, some nice thick thigh muscles from it all being bunched up from the raptor being in a sitting position. The toe claws are nicely sculpted. You have some nice detail on the sickle claw of the Velociraptor. Same thing done. Come on, camera, focus in on these freaking things. There we go. Has nice glossy paint on the toe claw. Same thing underside of the feet. Have a nice bright red coloration. Very, very cool touch. And then going down to the tail, you have more of that brown and that white stripe. Now, the one thing I don't like about the Rebor Raptors, I feel like the tails are really, really thin and anorexic looking. I don't remember them being this thin in the movies. I feel like they had a little bit more beef to them, but it's not as bad looking as, say, their other raptor figure, Winston. That thing just looks like it needs 10 to 100 cheeseburgers to fatten up the base of the tail. And the big complaint about this figure is the lack of quills on the back of the head. I wish they did a different head sculpt on here, but it costs money to tool another mold, and I can see why they didn't go for it, but it would have been nice. I mean, you can just get like a little Dremel and drill a couple holes and put your own custom quills in there, which I have seen people do, and customize. Makes the figure look 10 times better, but still a decent looking male JP3 Velociraptor. And next up is the female Velociraptor, and this is my favorite figure out of the set. It's actually one of my favorite looking Velociraptors in the Jurassic franchise. Just love that deep red color scheme around the orbit and that beady yellow eye with that pupil. Nice glossy wet look over it. The paint scheme on this figure is excellent from top to bottom. Now the jaw on this one doesn't close as flush as it does on the male raptor, and there's some resistance in here, and that's about the farthest I can get the mouth open. I don't want to push it too far because I've seen people break their raptor figures, and since this thing is long on production, I'm really not gonna force it, because the teeth are done in that nice enamel color. Same thing, nice glossy coat inside the mouth. Here is the figure from the front. You can see those exaggerated crests on the top of the snout. You have that nice bright white coloration with that nice contrast in black markings. And then on the other side, it's all bright white. You have a nice dark wash to bring out all those belly scales, and looking at it from the top, you can see how the legs are splayed out in that resting position. Same thing with the arms, they are articulated because, like I said, these are exactly the same mold as the male. The palms have some brown paint. On the other side, you have some light brown paint. For the hind feet, all the claws are decked out in glossy brown paint. And then going down to the tail, like I said, tail is really, really thin and anorexic looking, but all in all, a really, really cool version of the JP3 female raptor. And like I said, the resting position really makes these figures stand out from all the other raptors. All right, moving on with comparisons. Let's first start with Papo's brown Velociraptor, and here's one of their later releases, the green one. I guess this one's supposed to be Charlie. Kind of weird that Rebor didn't give us a Charlie and Echo. And here is Mattel's JP3 Amber Collection male raptor. And Mattel has a weird relationship with the JP3 raptors. We did actually get a female in the main line, but it was in those canceled story packs that never released in the US. We had to jump through hoops and get them from Korea and whatnot. I actually end up getting one, but I sold it a few months ago because they were just going for outrageous amounts of money. And I really didn't care that I had it because I was never going to open it. So, sell the figure and reinvest it into my collection. And now the Amber Collection is dead, so we'll never see a female Velociraptor in this size. But thankfully, Mattel resurrected the Amber Collection in the Hammock Collection line, which will scale with the main line. Hopefully, we'll get some nice JP3 and female Velociraptors sometime in the near future. And next up, let's do some of Rebor's other JP-style Raptors. Here it is with Pete, which is supposed to be styled after Delta. And next up, here it is with Winston, which is based off the Jurassic Park 1 Velociraptors. And let's do some more Rebor Jurassic-inspired figures. Here it is with their Dilophosaurus, and kind of weird that Nanmu has not done a Dilophosaurus yet. They've done pretty much most of the species so far. I'm still waiting for them to do their take on it, but right now, if you need a JP style Dilophosaurus that looks good, can't go wrong with the Rebor one. And next up here is Rebor's Killer Queen. And remember back in the day when these raptors were getting released and this Rex, Rebor had made some scale raptors that was supposed to go with this T-Rex, and it never happened. Pretty typical for Rebor. They show off a lot of products and some of them never see the light of day. Those I wish saw the light of day, because I would love to display the jumping ones on top of the Killer Queen to recreate the end of Jurassic Park 1. But oh well, I guess we'll never see those. And next up, here it is with Rebor's Theropod Nest. I originally bought this nest right after I got these JP Raptors in because I wanted to display them around it. But as you can see, the eggs are way out of scale with these raptors. You can't recreate that moment when the female picks up the eggs after they retrieve them from Dr. Grant and the Kirby's. So yeah, I've been looking for an alternative nest set to display them with, and I really haven't found anything in scale with them up until recently. Now, if you have the Nanmu Baryonyx set, you get this really nice nest display with them. And if you pop these figures off, let's move them off to the side. I have no idea what the hell I just knocked off my studio. They actually look really nice on this display base. The eggs are pretty much in scale with these Rebor Raptors. And the cool part is there's some AliExpress sellers that are selling only the base separately. It's for around $25, and I'm probably going to order an extra one so I can display these Raptors on here. And I think they look really nice on here. Someone did suggest the nest that came with the Beast of the Mesozoic sets. I actually don't own any of them, so if anyone has those Beasts of the Mesozoic raptor nests, let me know in the comments if they scale well with these raptors, because that could be another option for collectors. So final thoughts on these JP3 inspired raptors. I think Rebor did an excellent job on them. The paint schemes are immaculate. They're very true to how the animals appeared in the movie, with the exception of the male. It's just missing its quills. But if you're a customizer and you're handy with a drill, you probably can drill a couple holes in the back of the neck and add quills of your own. And I think they're two beautiful pieces from Rebor. It's a shame that they only did one production run from them, because they are quite sought after pieces, especially for Jurassic Park collectors. And like I said, you can pick up the Nanmu Nest for the Baryonyx if you want to display them like this. I think they look absolutely great. It's been, I had these figures for 5 years, and now I finally have a solution to my nesting issue with these figures. Now, it seems lately that Nanmu has kind of gotten away from doing Jurassic Park inspired products, that because there's other companies doing it slightly better than them at the moment, especially Nanmu, but Rebor definitely has their own style, and I always enjoy their products, and I'm still happy that I have these JP3 Raptors in my collection. So that would do it for the review. Still have some more, older reviews on deck until some new stuff comes in, so be on the lookout for those. And as always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously and is greatly appreciated, and I'll see you guys for the next one.